Students, what's going on? Let's do lesson 8-3, multiplying binomials, and we're also going to extend it beyond binomials. So here we go. The two methods. I'm going to start with a thing that's called a polybox. Now, you kind of already seen these in lesson 8-2, okay? They were kind of neat when you did one thing times three things. Well, here's the thing, friends. We're going to be multiplying a binomial times a binomial, which means we got to take two things times two things. So to do that, as you can see, I've already made a 2x2 polybox. All I do here is I'm going to line up the pieces. This is a 2x and a plus 5. So 2x and 5 goes here. This is an x plus 9, so I'm going to go x and 9 right here. There we go, lined up. So all of my multiplications are now lined up. All I have to do is nice and smooth like go through one multiplication at a time. You're basically just trying to find the area of each of these squares, obviously not to scale. So 2x times x would be a 2x squared, 2x times a 9 would be 18x. 5 times x is just 5x, and then 5 times 9 is 45. Boom, there you go. Just like that. That's how fast this stuff can go if you know how to do these multiplications. We did an entire chapter on multiplying numbers and variables. So your ability from that chapter is going to pay off big time. Okay, so that's all of our multiplications, but now we have to organize it. Good thing we can write things in standard form. So let's see here. A little trick here, friends. If you line it up in standard form, so single x, plain number, single x, plain number. If you line it up in standard form this way, it'll line up in standard form diagonally, okay? So you see the 2x squared has the most variables, so he goes first. And then the other fun thing, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, the items diagonally this way will be the exact same type of variable, like terms. So if I have 5x's and 18x's, I think that's going to add to 23x's. Yep. And then 9 times 45 is just 45. Boom, I'm done. Most times when you take a binomial times a binomial, you're going to end up with a trinomial. Okay, like, well, I did 4 multiplications. Why do I end up with 3 things? Because these two simplify. Okay, so that's the polybox method. There's another method if you don't want to draw the polybox, if you just want to kind of use some mental math, there's this thing called the FOIL method. FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, last. So in your mind, here's what FOIL stands for. Multiply the first items. Okay, so 2x times x, that'd be 2x squared. Multiply the outside items. What do you mean by the outside? 2x and the 9 are the furthest most outside pieces. Oh, by the way, 2x and x are the first piece of each binomial. Outside, that would be 18x. Inside items would be a 5x. Last items would be a 45. Notice you get the same 4 pieces that you would get from the polybox. Okay, so this is kind of like a, I don't want to, it's a mental math. It's doing the same 4 multiplications, but in your mind. Okay, so some people like to write out the FOIL. Some people just do the 4 multiplications. They kind of write them out in a string. That's what some people do. So I'm going to do some more examples here in a second. You don't need to really write these next ones down, but just watch me do my magic. And then once you do your foiling, here's your like terms, and then it's also, most of the time, standard form vertically. So all this stuff would simplify to a 2x squared plus a 23x plus a 45, okay? We are literally just doing multiplication and adding with a couple of tricks with variables. But like I've said before, luckily, we have been doing lots of multiplications with numbers and variables. Okay, so again, you don't really need to write these down, so I'm just going to show you how quick these things can go. Okay, so if I did the FOIL method, I would do first 3x squared outside, 7x inside, 9x last, 21. Like terms, we'd have a 3x squared, we'd have a 16x plus a 21, and I am done. That's it, okay? So that's like hard mode, playing game on hard mode. No cheat codes, no help, no shields, no ammo. You just have to go through the whole campaign, and all you can do is jump. You know, I don't know, something like that. That's hard mode. That's like the high-end stuff, okay? First, outside, inside, last. Okay. Worst case scenario, and I will say this every day throughout the rest of chapter 8. Worst case scenario, you could take 5 seconds, not even, to make a polybox and then set it up. I mean, it does take a long time. Oh, wait a minute, I'm done. There you go. Okay. So now you have a polybox. Oh my gosh, I have to go one multiplication at a time. This is going to take forever. There's no way I'm ever going to get this done, and I am. Okay? The only way you cannot succeed in chapter 8 is if you just want to sit there and do nothing. So don't be that way. You'll be fine. So line them up in standard form. Here we go. We have a 2x squared. Okay. Ooh, again, like terms, diagonally, right there. 20x's minus 1x would be a positive 19x. And then a negative 1 times a negative 10 minus 10. Got him. Okay. There's a trick here. If you multiply by negative 1, it's basically just the opposite of these. So that's kind of easy. So not really a copy and paste, but kind of a copy and opposite. And then if you multiply by a single x, you basically just stick the x squared, negative 1x. Yeah, there you go. So I guess I could have written. I could have roted a negative 1x in there if you want to. So it's nice to have those numbers in there just so you can see them. That's it. That's a binomial times a binomial. You have the FOIL method if you want to kind of do things in your brain. But if you want to go slow and smooth and do it accurately, a polybox will never, ever fail you. Okay, we'll do some binomials times trinomials here in a second.